Okay, welcome again. So now to talk about the security programs and what type of security solutions that should I apply to my network to avoid all those threats and vulnerabilities that my network is maybe can be applied or maybe my network might face at any moment at any time. These will be called as mitigation. Mitigation are the types of security solutions that you should apply. You definitely should apply to your network, maybe since the beginning of establishing the network, maybe since day one when you have just completed building your network, then you want to establish all those, you want to apply all those solutions to your network immediately once you finish the building, okay? Because hackers nowadays are maybe chasing everything. They want to chase every available networks at all for any ever type of thing that they want or steal maybe like important information or anything. You are always opposed maybe to security threats. So mitigations are the solutions that we will follow. Mitigation in security in the CCNA exam can be applied under three categories, three types of categories. Okay, the first one will be the technical solutions that I can apply to my network. The other type will be so called administrative, which will be applied only by the actually this is called administrative for two reasons. First one that it's applied by the network admin doesn't be really shouldn't be really applied by the network engineer. Maybe you are the network engineer, but not the network administrator. So the administrator will apply those solutions. And the other thing that it was called administrative because it's like applied from a perspective of administrating the entire company, not just the network. Okay, because these are some administrative steps or procedure, like some administrative things applied in the company that you work for is like they are applied by both of the human resources department, and there is in most of the networks nowadays, I'm sorry, most of the companies nowadays, there is a new department that is called administration, the department of administration. There is an administrative manager and an administrative representative, etc. So those people are responsible for telling you the policies of the company. That our policy states there is no smoking in the company, maybe. And our policy is like we only come to the office like only 5 or 6 days a week. But in Iraq, like 80%, 90% of the companies come 6 days a week, not 5 days. They're like annoying here. So, and also, maybe they will say that our maximum hours of working in the office is 8 hours or 9 hours. So these are the policies that all the employees inside the company do work based on these policies. So this is the administrative perspective or the administrative side that I was talking about. So it's from an administrative perspective. Okay, so this is why it's called an administrative solution, and I will discuss it in detail, the administrative solution, and after that maybe you'll get convinced, I'm sorry, why it's called from an administrative perspective and why it's only applied by the network administrator. The third type of solution, which is the simplest and most logic for you and most easy for you to apply actually, but it's the most expensive, will be called the physical security. I will talk about this as a third type. Okay, all of this will be discussed in detail with examples in this chapter, in chapter 5. So, starting first with the technical or called the logical mitigation process, the simplest one actually. This one is only about 3 steps that you should apply. Only, that's it, that simplicity. Step number 1 is about choosing the correct firewall device for your network. This actually happens, you can reach this level of choosing the correct firewall from studies. You need to study this thing. You need to use Google. I'm sorry, you need to use internet. After internet, you need to search for maybe like the top 5 or top 10 firewall companies or firewall manufacturing companies or firewall devices in the world, maybe for the past 10 years. And maybe you'll find some charts, some tables describing you all the benefits of maybe the top 10 most known firewall devices or firewall manufacturing companies, and maybe it will show you all the pros and cons of all those devices. So this is very important for you to choose before you choose the correct firewall. I have talked before in chapter 4. You have found in chapter 4 that there are a lot of protocols of the IP services. Some of them were made by Cisco, others were made by other companies. And I've told you that the reason why that your network might not be built only of Cisco devices is because maybe because of some offers that company manager would receive, like he will receive from a big company, a well-known company in Asia or in America, some good offer about supplying the company or the bank with 100 router for a 50% discount. So sometimes it happens, actually a lot of times it happens that the manager would agree, the administration manager or the procurement manager or whatever person responsible for the purchasing and bringing new devices to the network would agree for such good offer because he thinks only about using less amount of money or purchasing the least amount of money possible. So in firewalls, this is something not about money and can't be discussed at all, because this is the firewall. This is the device that's protecting our company. If we were a bank and our transactions and data were hacked, then that's it. We are done. Okay, we are done. We are closed. So these are things that they should be priority number zero, not just priority number one for the administration and the management concerns in the network. So they should give priority zeros. Like this is something we cannot discuss at all. After that starts priority one and two and etc. of the things on solutions that we might have a discussion about them. But the correct firewall is something very important. You need to study the best firewalls that serves you, maybe the top 10 firewalls in the world right now in the past maybe 10 years. You know the best companies that do manufacture and produce firewalls. This is not something to discuss about the cost and money. This is very important. So choosing the correct firewall comes from this perspective. Also the IPS, intrusion prevention system, that I've talked about in chapter 1. So these are two devices that you need to be very careful when you choose them and purchase them for your network. You need to know and notice that when a company in the world makes the best routers in the world, that doesn't necessarily means that they do also manufacture and produce the best switches and firewalls in the world. This is not something necessary at all. Because in this world, the most known companies that do produce firewalls is like Cisco, and you have also Juniper, you have Palo Alto, you have Fortinet, you have a lot of companies in the world that do produce firewalls. So it doesn't really necessarily mean just because Cisco makes the best routers in the world is that they make the best firewall. Okay, actually they might. I have no idea. I haven't used firewalls a lot because right now I'm using a firewall inside the company. I didn't establish it. I just came to the company. I found the network is established and that's it. It's done. So I only need to manage it and upgrade it. But it's not really necessary to find this. Okay, to be honest with you, I have faced networks before which are really giant networks and serves like millions of users, millions, not just 1 million. There was a sneeze. I'm sorry. So in this network, there are three types of devices. There is a multi-layer switch, there is a firewall, and there is a router. The interesting thing about that is that one of them is Cisco, the other one is Juniper, and the third one is Huawei. Okay, but all of them are awesome, all of them are perfect, all of them are doing their work at best. You can't expect much maybe better performance than that. Okay, Cisco is doing a device that's awesome, and at the same time Juniper have devices really brilliant and perfect, and also Huawei networks. So all of them are producing different. And yes, you will find this thing, you find three connected devices like in the ring connection. Each one of them is from a different manufacturer. This happens why? Because the best company to manufacture multiple multi-layer switches that do serves full layer 3 technologies like the layer 2, and like gives the at minimum 48 up to 104 ports from different speeds and bandwidth. Maybe company A. Company B doesn't really make good or awesome multi-layer switches, but they do give firewalls like no one else can do. Okay, so there is no concerns, and I can really do that. I can purchase the best firewall in the world and connect it with the best router from another company in the world and connect with the best switches available from a third company. This is really normal, and you'll find this case most of the networks and all, and I'm sorry, most of the networks and companies in the world. This is normal. So the moral of all that, of this story that I was talking about, is that choosing the correct firewall from the manufacturer A doesn't necessarily mean that the same manufacturer can make or produce the correct IPS. So I have the best firewall and to connect it with the best IPS just in case I needed an IPS. So it's really normal, like to connect an firewall from Palo Alto with an IPS maybe from Cisco or vice versa, or maybe I believe also Amazon do manufacture some firewalls, etc. in this way. Okay, so you can find that it's really normal that both of them are security devices, security boxes or appliance, but each one of them is some from a different manufacturer. This is because company A do make the best IPS, company B do make the best firewalls. So these are two things to know. The third thing to know, the very important thing, is the design, choosing the correct design, how to connect those devices together, and how to connect those devices to my network, and when to apply the firewall at which layer, and before what device, what type of device, or after what type of device, or between which two devices should I apply the firewall, and also the IPS. Before I have studied with Cisco the case of maybe, sorry, Amazon doesn't manufacture firewalls, but they were, as I read before, as I've studied in the CCNP design, the CCDP course before, that Amazon do use the solution of, as one of the companies, as I have heard, that do use the solution of, maybe imagine you have like the main router and a backup router of your maybe data center routers, and those are connected to a main and a backup router of the maybe the core routers, which are connected to the main and the backup routers of the aggregation layer, or it's called the distribution layer. Okay, so the connection should be this way. Maybe for some type of redundancy it will be this way, and that's it. Where the correct design is where to apply the firewalls that I've bought. You know that minimum you will buy two firewalls because you have two lines, two paths to reach the internet or to reach the outside of the world. So at minimum I need two firewalls and two IPS. So some companies, what do? That they buy the first type of firewall maybe in this way, and they will apply it here just before the data center router. Okay, so whenever someone wants to hack the network, they will face this device. After that, check this step. They will do buy the second or another from the top 10 firewalls to devices from another manufacturer, and they will apply it here. And the third manufacturer, third type of firewalls from a third manufacturer, and they will apply it here before the aggregation. The reason for that is that if there is a hacker in the world that was able to hack these two firewalls, and they will breach my data center network, my data center routers, after that they want to reach to inside my network and servers, which are my servers, and maybe relies, sorry, lies after the aggregation. It depends on my design. They will have to face a new firewall from another company. Okay, so this hacker might not be familiar with this and might not be able to breach it. Just in case for the worst scenario, this hacker did breach it, then he have to face now a third type of firewalls. So this hacker can breach like three algorithms, three different technologies of three firewalls from three different manufacturers in the world. This is maybe the best hacker in the world, and I can't protect myself. But in most of the cases, in more than 95%, he will not be able to, because I have secured my company just the toughest scenario or design that can be secured at all. Okay, so you can see choosing the correct firewall on IPS, maybe not just a single firewall, not two firewalls, maybe up to 10 firewalls and like 5 IPSs, it's okay. But after that, if I have placed those in like in The faulty design, all this money and all those technologies will go for nothing because I didn't apply them in a correct design, in a correct way. I did not install and design my network correctly so that I do make the biggest use possible of those devices. Okay, so it's all related or all based on the design of the network. So this is basically the technical or the logical solution. After that, before we finish the video, I prefer to talk about the second type, which will be the administrative. And it's called administrative, like I said before, for two reasons. This is applied by the network administrator, and it's applied from a perspective, from an administration perspective. Okay, so these are about the things that you, as a network administrator, decide and consider to be applied to the network. It will be applied to the company from a general view, to the network, and to the employees. All of those will be affected and have to apply and consider those solutions that I will talk about in a moment. So those solutions are called like policies and procedures that everyone in the company should follow. Okay, and these are the company agreed policies and procedures. This applies or this is generated and achieved or agreed after maybe a big meeting of the company with all the managers, and they will decide, just like I said before, that the company policy will be those days of working per week, those vacations available per year for each employee, maybe those leave hours per month, and etc. And those things, salaries, the salary, maybe all the distribution of salary based on the company, I'm sorry, based on the departments and the job titles and positions of the employees. All of those are called the policies, which are applied to all the employees without any exception at all. So after agreeing on those policies and procedures, they should be written on documents. So this is rule number one in the administrative, that everything in the company, every policy and procedure in the company should be written on an official document and should be signatured by the managers. This is very important, or maybe by only by the general manager or the CEO of the company. That should be enough. Okay, so these are very important things. See, right now these are not routers and switches. I'm talking right now about administrative things, administration things. See, those are from the perspective of administration. So written documents are very important. You should have a written document for everything in your network. You should store a copy of this written network, or a digital copy, scanned, or a digital copy of this documents inside your network, inside the servers. So this is where you come. This is where your act comes. You have to take a copy of every written document and signature document in your company, and you have to scan it, or maybe take the first original digital copy and store it in multiple servers and multiple maybe storage solutions in your company, so that you will never lose the original copy of a written and agreed document. After that comes the second very important rule, which is a background check for the new employees that comes to the company. You need to do a background check. Is that I believe that most of you so far did apply their CVs for multiple jobs. A lot of the forms that an applier would face and have to fill before applying for a job, that please type your name, your maybe martial status, your phone number, email, and your address. After that, your experience, certificates, and the languages that you know, your language skills. And lastly, maybe the last part of the form is that have you worked before and where? Please type below in the table, fill below places that you have worked in, and the address of this place, and the manager mobile number. So they want to contact managers of the old places that you've worked with to ask about you. Hey, this is manager from company A. We are company B, and we want to hire maybe like Sajjad in our company. So we see that from the form that he worked with you a year ago and stayed in your company for 6 months. What did he do? Why did he resign? What are his maybe actions? The how do does it, how did he respected the policies of the company, the employees? How faithful was he to the work and to the job and policies, etc. So this is very important to check after I'm sorry, the employees, the new employees coming to your company. Okay, so this is not something that you do. It's something of the HR and the administration department, you see. But those are things important, you know about them. Okay, because maybe they are hiring a new employee, and this employee is a network engineer or a security engineer in the network, and you are a network administrator, and you need to know. So did you as an HR check about this company, check the background of this, I'm sorry, this employee before you hire him to here? Maybe he was a bad person, maybe he did hack the company that he worked with before. That is very important to know. And the third step is also very extremely important actually, which is the awareness that I must add and teach the security culture to all my employees. I need to make them aware of the security concepts and aware of the security pro- programs okay. So all the employees in the company, starting from maybe accountants and sales engineers and representatives, up to the managers and the network engineers and the core network engineers, all of them must be aware of the security policies of the network. You need to do meetings every time to another. You need to send them emails reminding them. This is very important. Reminding them. You need to remind them because employees do forget. Employees do focus on their job. Those general policies that the company do upgrade and change from time to time, the employees do forget about them with time. Maybe from 3 to 6 months, the employee do forget about it. So you need to remind them. You need to establish meetings from time to time. You need to send them emails. You need to leave some reminding cards on their office to find it in the morning and remember. This is very important. Okay, so this is the awareness, and this awareness should be done periodically. Not about doing maybe like a training. Maybe you have one team forms of made of contains 6 employees, and you do send those team to a training. Oh, brilliant. Okay, to a security training that you need to. In this training, they will have maybe security programs, and they will learn about security programs, and that's it. This shouldn't be applied for one time in their life or in one time during their work or service duration inside the company. This should be repeated from time to time. They should be aware and reminded with this from time to time. This is very important. So the security awareness is important, but the most important thing of security awareness is that it should be repeated periodically so that no one would forget about it. So this is the end of the this. This is the end of the security policies and procedures, which is the first branch, maybe out of 3 branches that we will discuss in the administrative mitigation criteria or the administrative mitigation process. So in the upcoming video, I don't like to make this video very, I'm sorry, with a big length, like more than 25 minutes. This will be about 23 minutes. So in the upcoming video, I will talk about the upcoming solutions of mitigations, of the administrative mitigations, and the physical mitigation that we will talk about. So I hope so far for now what the points that we have discussed in this video are really clear. Just in case they weren't, please comment down below in the video section of the comments down below in this video, and I will be glad to answer you and aid you with whatever you need. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the upcoming video.